from the West Bank. What are your thoughts?
Well, first, Salah, I wish, I hope, and I thank you for calling me, but I wish that CNN would give equal opportunities to Israelis and Palestinians.
We have been in the last 4 hours.
Well, that hasn't
in
been
the hours I've been
anchoring.
anchoring.
Yeah. Well, then, second, it's very clear. You have correspondence with the Israeli army, but you don't have any inside Gaza. This is clear because the Israelis prevented you, like all journalists, from being in Gaza. So they want to influence your story to show one side, which is the Israeli side. Third, I'm so amazed and so shocked about the Israelis. They speak about peace and they conduct a huge war. They speak about stopping the missiles and they are precipitating the worst violence in the Middle East, and they are refusing to have ceasefire. They increase the issue of occupation and the problem of occupation by expanding this occupation. And they speak about stopping violence while they are creating the worst destruction, not only of infrastructure and houses and mosques and universities and hospitals and clinics, but also destruction of human lives. They are saying they are attacking Hamas while actually they are attacking the whole Palestinian population, and that's why we have 500 people killed, including 100 children, and 2,750 Palestinians injured, including 1,000 children.
Of course, as you mentioned, Mustafa Barghouti, we haven't been able to get into Gaza. Unfortunately, to get these figures and to corroborate these figures, reporters aren't allowed in. International journalists are not allowed in.
Who is not allowing them? It's Israel. Because Israel wants to cover something. They want to hide the reality. They want to hide the fact that they are precipitating the worst conflict in the Middle East. And it is amazing to me that the Israelis want not only to claim that they are the victim in this conflict, but they want to be the weak David and the mighty Goliath at the same time. It's unbelievable.
But let me ask you this, and this is what I've been hearing, by the way, online from many viewers who are in support of the Israeli ground incursion. They're saying, look, we didn't ask for this. There's this giant section of our country that is under constant rocket attack from Hamas. We have to do something. If this something seems disproportionate to you, then so be it. We need to secure southern Israel. What do you respond to those people? What do you respond to those people who say that?
Okay, first of all, this is not only disproportionate. This is a massacre. This is a war crime. One day, these generals will be taken to court. These war crimes they are conducting against children. But let me tell you, I was on CNN, and I proved to your people that the side that broke this ceasefire was Israel. Back in November, when they killed 6 Palestinians inside Gaza while we were having a truce. Your people, Mr. Sanchez, have been able to verify this information. He confirmed it from Economist, Financial Times, even from CNN records. And still the whole world media keeps saying the same thing.
I suppose we've gone so far beyond the point of really caring who broke it. I mean, the situation is so out of control. No, but the situation is so out of control that now the attention of the world needs to turn to a solution. How do you stop it? How do you stop it?
I agree with you totally, but I wish that the American media will stop claiming that it was the Palestinians who broke the ceasefire and look at the data. But on the other hand, how do we stop it? Again, it's Israel's responsibility because Israel is the one that is refusing ceasefire. And it is covered by the United States, which is refusing to allow a passage of a decision to have immediate ceasefire. At this very moment, as a human being, as a medical doctor, as a Palestinian, for me the most important thing is to stop this massacre of Gaza, to stop this inhuman situation where people are calling me. They say we don't have fuel, we have darkness, we don't have electricity, we don't have bread, we don't have medications, we are unable to get out of our house. 1.5 million people stuck in a ghetto and bombarded from air, from ships, from the ground, from the artillery. The Palestinians have nothing to defend themselves with. These missiles mean nothing in comparison to this huge military might of the 5th largest military army in the world. How could the world stay silent about this massacre, this injustice, this unjustified operation that are killing the future possibility of peace? I believe that all Israel wants is more escalation, more violence, because it never wanted and does not want to end this military occupation, which has been there for more than 41 years. Unacceptable and should not be allowed, and the world community is responsible with complicity with these kinds of attacks.
All right. Mustafa Barghouti speaking to us there from Ramallah, Palestinian legislator. Thanks there for sharing your thoughts. We have given equal time throughout our coverage to both sides, and there for the Palestinian perspective was Mustafa Barghouti. Let's get more on the situation on the ground with our reporter Ben Wiedemann live along the border between Israel and Gaza. It is now, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 20 to 11 about your time. What can you tell us?
That's correct. Yeah. Well, what we're seeing is just this ongoing operation, continued bombardment from the land, from the sea, from the air of Gaza. There's been relatively little rocket fire out of Gaza itself. One rocket hit the Israeli town of Sderot, lightly injuring, we're told by the Israeli medical services, lightly injuring one woman. Now, it appears as far as sort of the operation itself within Gaza, we understand that the Israeli forces do seem to be trying to cut Gaza in half, which is something that they have done in the past when they were trying to impose their control on the Gaza Strip. Obviously, the humanitarian situation inside Gaza continues to be very difficult. Inside Gaza City, actually, the Israelis have not approached Gaza City, which is the biggest population concentration inside. I was told that people are actually moving around, walking around the streets. There is some traffic, but most stores are closed, Hala. I'm told that there are very long lines outside the few bakeries that are operating. Electricity is apparently intermittent at best. And actually, you can see that it appears that that's the eastern side of Gaza City, where you see that white plume of smoke. We've seen sort of that sort of thing, that sort of plume of smoke, kind of smoke coming up all morning from inside Gaza. So the operation continues, and conditions obviously are becoming increasingly difficult inside Gaza. Hala?
Just, we were discussing earlier, Ben, potentially what these Israeli soldiers might be facing, because this is a massive ground incursion that comes 2.5 years after the Israeli-Hezbollah war. So is it possible that Hamas fighters have or are trying to replicate sort of the way Hezbollah fighters faced Israeli soldiers, and at the time were able to inflict some casualties?
Yeah, obviously the Hezbollah war is a model that Hamas would like to follow. Hezbollah was very good at using the terrain, very good at urban and also rural guerrilla tactics in fighting the Israelis. The difference, of course, is that Hezbollah was able to bring in weapons from Syria, from Iran, collect them from within Lebanon itself, because they didn't have the sort of controls around them that Gaza does. Gaza, after all, is completely cut off from the rest of the world. There are those tunnels between Egypt and Gaza, but they do not allow for the sort of smuggling of weapons that Hezbollah had. Now, I do know, having spoken to Hamas militant leaders, that this is what they would like to do, is exactly that, duplicate Hezbollah's experience in 2006, but certainly the terrain isn't quite as favorable. Southern Lebanon is very hilly. There are caves. There are millions of places to hide. Gaza's an urban area, and although it does in many respects provide a fruitful, fertile environment for guerrilla warfare, in this case, it's maybe not going to be quite as successful from a Hamas point of view.
Right. There are some parallels, but many differences. Thank you, Ben Wiedemann, on the Israel-Gaza border. Let's take a look at some of the other news headlines.